Okay.
Sorry about that.
Nope, not a problem. It's recording now.
Okay, thanks. Hey guys, it's Rachel Youngson here from useplr.com and wholefoodplr.com. I am here today with my friend Trish Lindemood from Kitchen Bloggers. Trish is really, really awesome. I'm so excited she's here with us. She will be speaking at the International Food Bloggers Conference in just a few days. She's going to be on a panel about growing and profiting from your food blog. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's creative blogging income is the theme, and we're all talking about very specific things that we're doing actually in real life. So
That's really great. It's going to be really neat. So if any of you guys happen to be going to that, please make sure you try to say hi to her.
oh, for sure.
Today, Trish is going to be talking to us about using PLR to grow your food-themed blog. So this is going to be a really great opportunity for anybody who is in the health and wellness niche, who is, of course, in the food niche. Please feel free to give us all your questions, and we'll do a Q&A at the end. And all right, so Trish, hello. Thank you for coming to see us.
Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to rely, on the slides I prepared for today to keep the conversation on track and to keep it as concise as possible. I believe on the registration page you shared there were about 4 different points we're going to cover. So I'm going to jump into that in just a moment. And just to give a little bit of background about where I've come from as far as my experiences. I published my first recipes professionally back in 2003. I used to own a print magazine that was very lifestyle focused in my local community, and there was always a food and cooking section in there. So I've been involved in, loving food for a very long time. I've been online since 2008, and this October will be 5 years since I released my first food-related PLR product. So it's really grown from there. My original site was Kitchen PLR. About 3 years ago, I purchased Food Aplenty off of Alciba and Lynette Chandler. Merged those 2 sites to form Kitchen Bloggers, which now today has, the PLR component is a big piece of it, as well as sharing what I know as far as, having worked online for 10 years and earning a full-time living online. So that's kind of the background and perspective that I'm bringing to the conversation today, and I look forward to answering any questions at the end. So if we're ready, I can go ahead and fire up the slideshow.
Yeah. So, if you have any questions on the technical side, please feel free to let me know.
Okay, and I may do that. So slideshow here. Oops. You know what I think I forgot to do? Hold on 1 second.
Sure, no problem. So while Trish is doing that, I just want you guys to know that over at Kitchen Bloggers, everything that she does has a health slant to it. So she tries to use the most natural, the most healthy ingredients in all of her recipes. She's just phenomenal, and it's really great stuff. Yep, you're sharing now, ma'am.
Okay, there we go. Just 1 more second. We'll go from the start. All right, there we go. It's up and running. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You want to finish?
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just singing your praises.
Thank you. And if I could just add to that, I do have some packs that I released a couple years ago that are not as health oriented. All of my new releases, the bite-sized bundles, are towards the health angle, but I do have some comfort cooking and that kind of thing that is more traditional food, in case somebody comes across and says, hey, I thought this was all going to be healthy for me.
Thank you for specifying that.
No, there's stuff all over. So anyway, I'll dive right in, and the 4 points that we talked about covering in today's conversation, and how to, using your PLR to grow your food theme blog. One of the main points I want to start with today is why it's so important to, quote, always blog with intent. We're going to dive into that a little bit more and talk about how this one adjustment in your thinking and how you approach your blog and anything you do online really makes the difference between having a blog and having a business. The next point, the 3 biggest pain points your audience has and how you can use PLR to help solve them. I've discovered these pain points on my own by surveying customers in the food niche, as far as what was most important to them. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. I've also got a fourth point I'm going to share as kind of a bonus point. But these are all good things to keep in mind because they can really help shape and inform what products and what offers you put out there as far as connecting with your audience. And ideal, at the end of the day, the goal is to best serve them. And knowing what the pain points are can really help you add that value for them that they're looking for online. The third point we'll talk about today is strategic tips to personalize your food PLR, whether it's recipes, articles, images, or some combination of all of the above. We'll start with some basic tips, things I've been doing personally for years that I've had great results with, as well as some more advanced ideas on how you can take all of that PLR that's sitting on your computer right now, and you probably have a little bit, I'm guessing, and get it out there and create something that's unique, has your voice, and really fits what you what you're trying to say in the message you're sharing. And finally, we're going to talk a little bit about thinking beyond just your blog and where that content, how you can really leverage that PLR food content that you have for maximum growth in your business, not just as far as blog content that you can publish and kind of move on to something else. Okay, so moving on, we're going to jump into the first one about blogging with intent and why it's so important to always blog with intent. And the first place to start with this is, what exactly am I talking about? If you've been with me or my customers, or if you're a member of our private Facebook group, this is something that I talk about all the time, or I bring it up all the time, that blogging with intent. And what do I actually mean by that? Well, it's really quite simple. It's talking about what is the business purpose of any content you're creating and you're putting out there online. As far as every piece of content you create, ideally will have a reason behind why you're putting out there. And that sounds kind of like a no-brainer, and you're probably thinking, well, yes, of course, I have a reason for publishing this content. But what I have found in reviewing hundreds of sites over the years, as well as just looking at some of the information that's out there, the common thread you hear is you need to blog consistently. You need to have a blogging calendar. Have we all heard this? That it's like you need to update your blog, once a week, 3 times a week, or what have you, however number of times, or how often you need to commit and be consistent. There's a lot of emphasis is put on consistency, but I see much less emphasis put on what is the point of what you're putting out there. And I can't tell you the number of times I've reviewed a site with one of my coaching clients, or even a customer in general who's having an issue with conversions or something on their site, and I'll see this beautiful recipe with beautiful photography or a well-written article, and you get to the end of that blog post, whether again the recipe, article, what have you, and it just ends. It's like, okay, your reader has gone through this whole experience with you. They're loving what you have to say. They get to the end, and then it's just like this drop off a cliff. There's no direction provided as far as what's next. What am I supposed to do next? It's like, I like you. I'd like to get to know you better, but you're making it really hard on me. And this was actually something one of my early coaches pointed out to me when he reviewed my site, my lifestyle site years ago. He's like, you've got all this beautiful stuff, but you make it darn near impossible for anyone to actually do business with you. It was like this huge light bulb went off. It was like, well, duh. So at the end of your post, and when you're blogging with intent, before you create that content or you tweak that PLR, or ideally before you even purchase it, it fits into your larger strategic vision and goals for the site. Does that make sense, Rachel? Is that?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense to me. Hey, guys, does it make sense to you guys? You can just throw a little yes in the chat box.
Yeah.
Oh, and I want to say hi to April, our friend April Lamar.
Oh, April's here. Thank you.
Yeah, April, for those of you who don't know her, she runs nichestarterpacks.com, and she's also got a lot of great health stuff. So,
yeah, but going back to that, it's having an intention behind why you're blogging and what you're going to do with it, and how that content you're publishing and putting out there in the world helps, one, most importantly, serve your audience, and two, furthers your business goals so that you're actually advancing your business with every single piece of content you create. And then moving on from there, some examples of how you can blog with intent. And these are specific to the call to action that you can add at the end of your posts or your content, ways you can use your PLR and other content to engage with your audience. My favorite is join your email list, whether it's a, hey, if you love this recipe, you want more like it, if you want free tips. Ideally, it won't be just the recipes because those don't seem to convert as well because recipes are so freely available online. But if you can create checklists or shopping lists or a pantry organization list or even like blank grocery shopping lists, stuff that people can print out and fill in for themselves, those seem to do well. Give something to get them onto your list so you can start building a relationship. Invite them to connect with you on social media. I do that a lot as far as inviting people. Hey, come over to our free Facebook group. We've got over 1,300 food and lifestyle and health and wellness bloggers you can connect with and network and find joint venture partners, etc. But letting people know, like, hey, let's have this conversation. Let's continue this past just this post. Leave a comment. I haven't enabled comments on my blog in years, but I know a lot of people still use them for community. I personally can't stand the spam with them, so I don't. But that's another way to get engagement and to get people interacting with you online. And of course, promote your own products or an affiliate offer. I don't normally go straight for that with a straight blog post. It's kind of like you're going from a first date to asking someone to marry you, versus maybe taking them out on a second date with getting them on your list and getting them to know you. But in some cases, it can work quite well to do that. Now, as far as, to kind of tie this all up and with this point, it's like, how can you leverage your PLR content in this process? Again, you want to start with the intent. You want to start with, what are my business goals with this site? What am I trying to accomplish? And I find a lot of times, it may be that, whether it's like to build a consistent part-time income or a robust full-time income, or just something that you enjoy doing for fun, but you'd like to cover your expenses. It really doesn't matter what your personal goals are. It's more that it's something that gets you excited and fired up and ready, that you want to keep doing this. And so understanding what those goals are from the beginning can help inform your decisions as far as, one, what PLR content you buy. And am I the only one who maybe has purchased PLR has never made it off of my computer? Or is this something that I'm guessing a lot of us have done at one time or another, because you're like, this looks good, I can use this someday, maybe someday I'll get this out there. But when you really have this strategy and the strategic thinking in place, you'll know exactly what you need because you'll already have that part of it kind of fleshed out a little bit. So you'll be more strategic in the PLR you purchase, as well as what you have, how you can leverage it across your business outside. And we'll talk about this more in a few minutes, as far as not just blog content, but how you can use it to create entire sales funnels, from your email autoresponders to your free opt-in offers to your low price purchase options that get people off of the freebie list onto more of a where they're engaged with you and they're interested in spending money with you. And those are the people, there's a whole thing there. And then your mid and higher level products. So that's kind of the whole thinking behind having that blogging with intent. Do we have any questions on that before I move on?
No, we don't. We do have a few folks, though, who say they are guilty of not using their PLR. So
I'm sitting here laughing at myself, and I'm just like, well, yeah, I have a whole hard drive full of it. And it's like, stop, there's really so much great stuff you can do with this. So
I do too. So
I know it's addictive. It's like, I don't know, like eating potato chips or something. So.
This is like Planet Fitness, guys. It's a judgment-free zone.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, so I'll wrap up with that point. I mean, the takeaway is to have a business purpose in mind as you're working on your content, so that anytime you're spending time, money, and effort on anything, that it is going towards supporting your long-term business goals. Okay, and so now moving on to that, so talking about your PLR content and how you can use it to best serve your audience. Talk about the three biggest. Is that from my end? Please tell me my kid is not doing that.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, the kitten's not in here, so we're good.
Let's see. Mary Louise, would you mind hovering over your microphone and clicking it so that it will, just to be sure?
It's not really bothering me. I was worried that, the kitten seems to be getting into everything. So anyway, and talk about the three biggest pain points your audience have, or three of the biggest ways you can serve your audience as far as knowing like what is important to them. I'm basing this off of surveys I conducted myself with customers from my own food sites. And just to jump into that, number one, save time. Everybody is pressed for time these days. It's like everything is like so overwhelming. There's so much to do, so many places to go, especially if there's kids and sports and school and everything else going on. How do you get dinner on the table, a healthy dinner in particular on the table, without, trashing the entire kitchen and cooking for 3 days to make it happen? Number two is save money. Food's expensive. So, what can you offer as far as, and this ties into both, meal prep that can save time, but also avoid food waste, or, making more economical choices as far as, chicken thighs are less than the chicken breasts. And here's some great recipes that, you're not, that use the boneless, skinless, or, I'm just making this stuff off the top of my head. But the more economical choices that they can make at the grocery store, or by creating menu plans for them that make, there's less waste at the end because you're strategically using the food and the recipes for that week to cut down on the amount of money spent, as well as, food that's left over that doesn't end up being used. Number three, and this is a big umbrella, and we'll talk a little bit about how this can fit in with your own particular site and your own niche and angles here, but become healthier. A lot of people, many people are very interested in how to live a healthier lifestyle, whether it's live longer, lose weight so you feel better, you look better, you have more energy to do the things you want to do, you get off of expensive prescription medications. It can go, on for ages as far as what the, how this fits in with your particular audience, particularly as if you're in particular markets, whether if you focus on the ketogenic diet, or you focus on Whole30 or paleo, or just clean eating in general, talking about and showing people what they need to live a healthier lifestyle. I have a coaching client who has done amazing things with the raw food diet, and she wants to show people how to have fun with it, not so much focus on the health aspects of it, but just, how she's accomplished amazing results herself, and how to relax and have fun and enjoy life. So there's a lot you can cover with that topic, but it's huge. I mean, there really is so many ways you can go out and make it your own and carve out your own little corner under that umbrella. And the bonus one I said I would throw in here is learn something new. There's always people who go online because they want to learn how to do something, oftentimes when people are searching for recipes, they're looking for what to make for dinner that night. I threw this in as a bonus versus one of the big pain point issues, because one, often when people are looking for a how-to, the purchase intent on those type of searches is generally much lower than other types, meaning that people are looking for a quick, free answer to something, which is fine. You can, get people in, see what you're doing. But it is worth noting because, no matter where you are on the scale with your journey with food and cooking, even if you're a complete beginner and you are like having more kitchen fails than successes, you still have something of value to teach to somebody who hasn't ever picked up a knife before. So, if education and that angle appeals to you, there's definitely, no matter where you are, you can really target and work with somebody who's wants to do what you're doing and, isn't quite as far along as you are on it. So as far as like using PLR to solve them, again, by understanding what these pain points are, and of course you can dig deeper into this at any time with your own customer base by simply asking them. I've got this information by sending out surveys and asking, hey, what's most important to you, and maybe it isn't the healthiest recipes. It's, what can I get on the table in 20 minutes because I'm tired at the end of the day, that kind of thing. That will tell you so much by actually engaging with your audience and talking to them. And then again, that will go back to what we talked about as far as having selecting PLR that helps solve problems for your customers and helping you customize the PLR you have and angling it in such a way that it's actually solving problems for them so that they are getting value from you, and you're putting something out there you feel great about because you know you're helping people and you're building your business at the same time. So any questions, anything on this? Do we have any?
No, looks like we're still doing good over here.
Okay, cool. All right. I feel like I'm like just talking to myself right now. So
it is a little bit, yeah. When you do a webinar, it kind of does feel a little bit like that. You
I
guys,
know, like somebody laugh or something. So
are you guys liking what you're hearing so far?
Oh,
Douglas wants you to know you're not alone. He totally gets the webinar stuff.
Okay, thank you. So, okay. All right, so then we'll move on to the third slide and the third point we wanted to cover today, and talk a little bit about some strategic tips to personalize your food PLR, including your recipes, articles, and images. With this, the first one I refer to as the basics. This is what I recommend you do with every single piece of PLR you purchase, whether it's food or anything else. I've been doing this myself for years. Although I never position PLR as a quote SEO tool, because obviously it's, if you publish it as is, it's out there. But there's, with not a lot of major rewriting, you can get it to rank. I don't promise it, but I know it happens because I do it all the time. But first of all, change the title. If you have a recipe, instead of taking it out of the box and using the recipe title that came with the package, take a look at the recipes and maybe call out a different set of ingredients in it. Or, if there's a flavor profile of, for example, I use, what I'm working on today has basil, mozzarella, and tomato caprese. But that won't be in the title of the finished recipe because it has a different working title, but you can tweak and customize them into something unique based on the ingredients, or you can make minor modifications to the ingredients themselves that makes it still work for you. The second thing is, in addition to changing your title, is to write a brief introduction that really introduces the recipe and puts a little bit of your personality and perspective in it. Now, I know there's a lot of conversation out there about these huge long posts being like recipe posts, the ones that have like 1,000-word story before you get to the recipe. And the current thinking right now is that that's the way to get a recipe to rank as far as the organic SEO. We've had some good conversations about this in our private Facebook group, as far as a lot of readers don't enjoy that because, they're there for the recipe and then they're going through some story about somebody's childhood adventures with something that has nothing to do with food. And so kind of make that call yourself as far as what you're looking to accomplish too. But I usually do like a brief paragraph introduction, writing about it. If ever possible, I'd like to put a little humor in there if I can, or talk about a mishap I had with it while I was developing the recipe or something to that effect. You could talk about, if it reminds you something, a funny story from your childhood, or, something that your grandma used to make, but this is the more modern version. Something like that. Just kind of, you can riff on it and create your own introduction. I like to put the keywords that I'm targeting for that page into that new content that's going into the introduction as well. And then finally, add a conclusion at the end. I see so often recipe posts in particular that just end after the instructions are done. And I do not recommend doing that. Make sure you put some kind of call to action at the end where you're wrapping it up in a nice bow and letting them know what's next. If you love this, then you're gonna really like this. Or, check out our Facebook group. I share recipes there I never do, that kind of stuff. Something to get them engaged with you and continue the relationship so that they're not left at the end like, guess I'll back out of here and go somewhere else. Give them a reason to stay in touch. Okay? I actually wrote an entire post on this a few years ago that's still on the site, that talks in more detail about infusing your own personality into your posts and kind of taking the PLR, if you get well written and well researched PLR, it's a great starting point because you're really leveraging someone else's time and energy and expertise as far as creating it and doing the research for you. And just by making these few modifications, you're not spending a ton of time and you're ending up with something that is much more unique to your site. Now, the next set of tips, they go beyond just the basics, and they kind of go in order of like what's, like least to most time involved. If something doesn't work for you, then I definitely don't do it. One of the number one things I like to recommend with mine, like I have my bite-sized bundles memberships, and every month, the format's always the same. They're gluten-free recipes. They don't have any added sugar or processed ingredients or added preservatives. But each month follows a different food theme. Like I mentioned when we were talking at the beginning, Rachel, the September theme will be ketogenic recipes. I have a new free pack of ketogenic recipes coming out, like 3 recipes coming out later this month, and then that'll feed into the new September theme. Now here's the thing, a lot of you may not have any interest, or more importantly, your audience may have zero interest in ketogenic recipes. So just don't play up that angle. They're still delicious recipes that can fit in a lot of different types of topics. And one of the things I like to do is organize, not by the theme of the package, but I look at the prep and cook time. If it's under 30 minutes, perfect. You've got an easy, from my experience over the last 5 years, quick and easy recipes, whether it's, your Instapot, slow cooker, 5 ingredients or less, 30 minutes or less, those are always very popular. Same with the popular food themes, whether it's ketogenic, paleo, that type of thing. If those themes and you happen to have recipes that are angled towards that, don't assume you can't use them. Take them out, shift them up, put them in your own packages. Even, if you go through, like everybody, it seems like, unless you're vegetarian or vegan, of course, but if you're not, chicken recipes are really popular. And, odds are if you're involved with food and cooking, you probably have quite a few of them yourself. And you can use food PLR. In fact, I have an entire pack on it. It's called Taste Like Chicken. And it's actually about chicken, go figure, that, you can use to fill out and supplement an entire recipe collection on that one theme. And, and that's just, that or the quick and easy. There's just a lot of different ways you can go based on what your audience responds to and what they tell you when you ask them, hey, what's most important to you? Okay. Next up is, as far as customizing images, I get a lot of questions about, my recipes come with original photography. I do the photos myself, so you know the source and where they're coming from. So when I develop my recipes, I shoot images and they're released as a group together. And sometimes people are a little concerned about that, like, well, won't everybody see and recognize that this is, and the thing is, that no, they won't. If you do a quick search online for food images or chicken recipes and just search the images that come up, or if you go to a stock photography site like Photolio.com or any of the major stock photography sites and do a search for food images, you'll see there are millions of them out there. And the fact of the matter is there are, with very few exceptions, there are no food images that are so iconic that people are going to see one and be like, oh my gosh, I saw that somewhere else. It's like, I guess it could happen, but the internet is a very big place. But to make those images your own and to make them really identify with your site is when you're sharing them on your site or on social media, whether you're creating Pinterest pins or, graphics for Facebook or what have you, Instagram, customize them. Tools like Canva are totally free. Customize them with your brand colors, add your own logo, add the text you want. When you rename the recipes, as I suggested back in the basics section, add the new name to it and select fonts, and stay, relatively consistent. I like to shake things up once in a while, but so that you develop kind of a look and feel that goes with your site. So people are like, oh yeah, I recognize that. That's, this site versus this one standalone image, like, did you actually take that picture kind of thing. So that's been very effective as far as changing up the images and making them totally unique to your site. This goes more to your articles and short reports, and that with my, like some of my older packs, I have recipes and articles as well as product reviews. At this point, mostly it's my food gardening packs that include the longer form articles as well as short reports. And you can get a lot more mileage out of those by, I like to do, a lot of times you'll see 7 ways to do such and such, or 5 easy ways to blah, blah, blah. When you get an article like that, they're very easy to break apart into multiple articles, whether you take each tip or bullet point from that longer article and expand on it to create a unique article. And another thing I like to do with that as well is if, let's say I have an article that has 7 ways to do fill in the blank, I'll publish that article, write a new introduction and conclusion to it, and that'll be kind of like the anchor article, and then take the individual tips and fill them out and expand upon them a bit to create new blog posts for each bullet point, all 7, and then link to them from that anchor article. So not only do I have one more comprehensive post, but I also developed internal links on my site to new content that didn't take me forever to write, because I was able to just, again, riff on the quality PLR I started with. And there it's I provided more in-depth information for my readers, as well as, again, adding those internal links to your site to help people find additional content, and the search engine spiders to find additional content on your site. Now, this final one is a bit more involved, and I don't always recommend this, but I do know I have customers who do this, who they use the recipes in particular as a starting point. And it's much easier than to start and develop a recipe from scratch. That's something you want to start with. But often, I can look over here at a recipe, and maybe I don't care for, I'm just making this up, skirt steak, but I want to try it with a different cut of meat, but this recipe over here is inspiring me, to try this. And I do this with my own recipes a lot when I repurpose them for my own site. And I have a lot of customers who do that they'll use this as a starting point. They know that these basic flavors work well together, and then they can, kind of create something quickly that's completely unique and talk about the experience and the process. Again, that's a little bit more in depth and more involved, but it really is going to depend on your personality. Some people really like to be very hands-on with the content, and others are, looking for, let's, drop and use it, which is perfectly acceptable too. Okay, and so I just lost my, and there we go. And so the key takeaway here is, inject your own personality into the content that you're purchasing and you're putting out there, and have fun with it. Your readers will be able to sense if you're having fun and enjoying what you're doing, and so versus it being kind of bland, boring, and lifeless, which is really, quality PLR is kind of meant to be lifeless, because if I put so much of my personality into it, or if Rachel put a ton of her own personality and experiences into it, it would come through to your readers, and they're not coming to your site to hear me or to hear Rachel, as great as she is. She's awesome to listen to, or April, or any other provider. They really want to know more about you and to connect with you. So it's important to, as you're working with this content, really infusing it with, what makes you special and unique. Okay? Any questions on that? I feel like I've been talking a mile a minute.
Does anyone have any questions? I know that April said that the quick and easy recipes that you were talking about, they are what she always looks for, and they are hot. Capital H-O-T, hot.
Definitely.
If you guys are paying attention to the chat box, we also put in a free guide over at useplr.com for using PLR to social media images. That has a tutorial on Canva, so you can download that. You can get a little bit more information on Canva. And we also dropped the link for Trish's Kitchen Bloggers Facebook group.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So Trish, you are getting ready to go speak in how many days? Like 2 days?
Yeah, I for some reason thought a 6 a.m. flight out of Cleveland was a good idea, and so yeah, less than
Brave, brave, brave.
yeah. No, I wasn't thinking that through so much. So
Because you have to be there 2 hours early, right? Or,
yeah, something like that.
oh my golly. Brave Trish. So, guys, here's the great thing. To me, it seems like what would be even better than trying to find PLR recipes all the time and trying to find a good PLR provider to help you grow your blog would be to have someone who is on a monthly program. See, I really stress this to my people, my Use PLR folks. And the reason is because if you find PLR that works for you and you can get it every single month, then you've already got content. It takes so much off of your plate. Trish, would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely, and it's nice to know that you have something fresh coming in. And
Mm-hmm.
with my membership, it's structured so it's enough content to be 2 new posts per week. So it's like an entire month's worth of content. Then if there's anything else you want to add on to that, so
Yeah, Trish has her monthly bite-sized bundle content, and it's great stuff every month. And she's actually, I'm dropping a link here for you guys, but she was actually nice enough to give us an exclusive coupon for you folks so that you guys can try it at a very, very low introductory price. So let me grab that for you. And Trish, you said your next one is going to be all about the keto, or I'm sorry, you're releasing a free keto pack.
yes, there'll be a free keto pack. In the free pack will be 3 brand new recipes that I've never released anywhere else. In fact, I was just working on one of them and taking the photographs this morning. And I usually include a couple of themed consistent recipes from other packs in my freebies too, to give a good idea of what's available. And so that'll be coming out right around the time that the new September ketogenic bite-sized bundle pack.
And you've done, stop me if I miss anything or if I get something wrong, but I believe you've done an Instant Pot in the past, paleo,
Yes.
comfort foods.
Well, the comfort food wasn't bite-sized bundles, because bite-sized
Okay.
bundles is all on healthy topics, healthy themes. So, but I do have a comfort food from before.
And you try to make sure that all of the ingredients are as natural and as healthy as they can be.
Yeah, it's with the recipe guidelines for bite-sized bundles are they're always gluten-free, and I don't add like any processed sugar. Occasionally I'll use a little honey or maple syrup for sweetener, but I won't use like refined white sugar or any artificial ingredients, preservatives, that type of thing. So it's to keep it as quote clean as possible. The recipe's as clean as possible.
You know, Audrey just told us that your content always does well with her readers. She doesn't have to do very, very much work on her end.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. She said it's done very well. So anyone who doesn't know about Trish, a lot of my readers over at Whole Food PLR are also linked in with her kitchen bloggers community, because of course the two go pretty well together, and they love what Trish does. So I would really, really consider taking a look at the introductory price for this. You can get it for, I believe it's $9 this month, and which is a huge savings.
Well, and the other thing too is if they sign up now, they'll get the quick and easy pack. That's the August pack, as well as the ketogenic as soon as it's released.
That's great.
So for $9, it would be 16 recipes, plus I usually include 1 or 2 bonus recipes in each pack.
So that's basically like what, 2 months worth of material?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's great. That's great.
We advertise that a lot, but it's the way my membership site software works. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of, when people join Trish, they don't leave her because she's really, really good at what she does. But before we start taking questions, I also wanted to let you guys know that Trish has released a new book, and it's really exciting, and I wanted to make sure everyone knew about it. Can you explain that wonderful book to us a little bit more, Trish? And I will drop the link in for everybody.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Rachel. It's called
Sure.
Turn Your Food Blog into a Business, and it's practical and profitable ways to monetize your food-themed site. And it really talks all about, thinking business, not blog, with your efforts, whether you have a food blog or whether you're a health and wellness coach. And if food plays some aspect in it, is how you can leverage that topic and those themes to create a profitable online business. And actually, some of the monetization ideas involve working offline. There's 27 different monetization ideas in there, as well as tips to put them into action. And the part I was really excited about is I actually interviewed 7 different very successful bloggers, and each of them are monetizing their business in different ways. And I think that part was really invaluable, as far as hearing people. One is he's done really well with publishing cookbooks, and he shares like how what's worked for him and what's working today, now that it's more competitive than when he first started. Lynn Terry was another one I interviewed, as far as she's done some really amazing things building up her low carb traveler site. Mm-hmm. And what she's done with working with brands and that type of thing. So that part is really cool to me. I love talking to and interviewing everyone and finding out, what did you do? And like I will say the one theme that unified every single one of the interviews I did with these successful online business owners was every single one of them, their number one priority was serving their audience first, making sure that what they did served their audience in a meaningful way, and the rest of it followed that. But they were able to build a business that, freed them from working for other people in most cases. In fact, I think on almost all of them, so that, that they could pursue their passion and really create their own dream business based around what they personally love to do. So,
and that's kind of how you know that the person that you're following, I'm sorry, Trish. That's kind of how you know that the person that you're following is a good person, is if their main focus is serving that crowd of theirs.
Exactly. And I was so excited to see that with every single one of them. So I would be like, well, what's your secret to success? And it's like, Lynn Terry's like, easy. I serve my audience first. I won't just take any brand sponsor if it's not a good fit and it's not in their best interest. She's like, I say no more often than I say yes. And I think, that your audience comes to expect that, and it makes a big difference as far as the loyalty and the relationships you can build and the friendships you build, which to me is one of the coolest things about what we do.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, even though I personally don't work with the recipe aspect of things, I do know that even just as a PLR provider or even running used PLR, there are a lot of times that I'll just say, or it's not yet, or, you really have to be sure that just like all of these used PLR speakers, every one of them is someone that I've had a connection to for a long amount of time, who I trust with my audience. There's practically a screening process to become a presenter here. So, I mean, I completely understand. Now, Trish, you were nice enough to give us a discount on this.
Yes.
For a limited time. So guys, in the chat box, you will see a link to this wonderful new book of Trish's, as well as your special discount code. You want to be sure that you use that within this week. Please use it as quickly as possible, because, as we said, Trish is going to do other things this week. She's going to be speaking at the International Food Bloggers Conference, and she's got a lot on her plate. So we really want to be sure that we get a hold of her stuff while we can, at the best value that we can, because she's got a lot of stuff going. So you are leaving Wednesday, is that right? Tomorrow or
morning? No, 6 a.m. So
wow.
I'm tempted to get a hotel at the airport, so I'm not leaving here at 3.
Yeah.
So.
And when will you be back? How long does that conference last?
Till Sunday.
So if anyone is doing a, if any of my folks have food themed sites or um, are interested in that type of thing, this is a once a year conference. Is that right?
Yeah, the IFBC is once a year. Yes.
Yeah. So Google that, guys, if that's of interest to you, because it's so important to connect with people who are in your line, you know, who
And
are in your niche. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
if I could share something, I know it's like extremely last minute, so this would be for people who are within driving distance. I actually have a 40% off coupon for anyone that registers for the event. So if it's something, you know, that somebody can kind of make a last minute arrangement for, if you use when Trish, the code is Trish40, during checkout, it'll take 40% off the event registration fee. So,
That's great. Thank you, Trish.
you're
So,
welcome.
so guys, keep an eye on your used PLR emails, because what I'll do is I'll get the link if you do decide that you would like to go in and grab tickets, if it's convenient for you to do that short notice, and I'll make sure that you guys have everything. Yeah, Charlene, who I think is the best, she says that nothing compares to meeting like-minded people and learning from others. It's
Absolutely.
yeah, isn't it's so true. So if you guys get a chance to put it on your calendar for next year, I think that you really should think about it if this is your path. So before we let Trish go, does anyone have any questions? And if you have any questions at all, nothing is off the table, guys. And please remember that, you know, we only have a very limited amount of time with her, you know. So if you have a question, let us know. Steph wants to know when you're coming to Georgia.
I love Georgia. I am planning on doing more travel next year. Part of like my big vision for Kitchen Bloggers from the beginning was to do like on location, like cooking type classes combined with marketing masterminds and that type of thing. So that's something we're going to talk about. There's quite a few members of our Facebook. Oh my gosh, stuff is on. That like kind of blew my mind. Thank you. Hi, Steph. But that's awesome. I didn't put it together that was the stuff I knew from years ago until now I'm all excited. But anyway, that's definitely something for next year. Some on location things I'd like to put together and have members like meet up at different places in the country to do maybe a cooking demonstration or food photography workshop or a tour wineries, something cool and fun like that. And then, a small group setting where we could talk about, the marketing and the business aspect and kind of do more one-on-one in a small group setting. So that's thanks, Steph, for opening that conversation.
So I think, I may have cut you off. Did I cut you off? I
had another slide, but I was just
golly.
with it because I felt like I was just doing all the talking, and I'm like, I'd love to get other people kind of interacting and answering questions.
No, everybody noticed. So if you wouldn't mind doing your slide, because
I don't mind at all. we were on a roll there. So going back is okay. So the final point where we're thinking beyond your blog, oftentimes it's like, we get to the point of like posting new content on the blog, and we don't really think about all the other ways you can use and leverage the food PLR, any PLR you have to really maximize and grow your business. So the theme with this is don't let it be lazy. Don't let it hang out on your hard drive, and don't think that it's only good for, filling your blog with new content. Kind of a no-brainer thing, and this is something that, again, can work for just about any, is, switch up the format, whether you create, slideshows for sharing or creating your own viral videos from, use images and the text recipes. You can use platforms like Animoto to, create quick and easy videos that in a couple of different formats to share either on social media or to upload to YouTube or what have you to share on your site. Of course, consider using the information, not just in your broadcast emails, but as setting up autoresponders that kind of work for you around the clock without you needing to constantly be there and be present. And also too, to break into tips, and that I like to provide a lot of tips in what I'm doing because they're so perfect for making graphics and sharing on social media as a way to, keep your accounts active and flowing. And then, of course, is creating your own unique free and premium content. And, when we're talking about free content, generally we're talking about those opt-in freebies and what are people, what are you using to get people to subscribe to your email list. And I will share one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is you start with thinking about like, well, what would be a good opt-in freebie? What should I make to get people on my list? And really, it's like, when you look at your overall sales funnel, you've got your opt-in freebie over here, and then you've got a low price product. And if you move on to like more medium and higher price, you've got like this continuum of products. And often people will start thinking over here as far as what's a good opt-in, what's going to get them on my list, without really thinking about what's this effort I'm putting in over here, how is it supporting the rest of my funnel and my goals and objectives. And maybe these products over here aren't even yours. Maybe they're affiliate offers. Maybe they're things that you're going to be recommending that you don't, have a hand in creating. But, the thing is to kind of think ahead as far as, again, going back to that whole blogging with intent we talked about in the beginning, and really kind of getting clarity around what you're going to offer in this process so that when you do invest the time and energy in coming up with that awesome opt-in freebie, not only is it something that your audience wants, but it's also something that supports and helps move you closer to your other business goals. And as far as like the types of, either free or premium content you can create from your food PLR, cookbooks and recipe collections. And recipe collections are more, in my mind, they're smaller and they're generally more theme focused. If you do like, a collection of holiday drink recipes or, appetizers or breakfast and brunch, that kind of thing. One thing I see a lot, particularly in the health and wellness niche, is memberships. And using the recipes, particularly obviously the healthy recipes, as something that is provided either offline to patients and handouts or behind, a paywall situation where, meal plans are developed or that type of thing to help those patients gravitate to a healthier lifestyle. I see that done quite a bit. Same for, if you've got good cooking tips and how-to type content, you can create a membership around teaching somebody how to do the basics of food preparation, that type of thing. Another thing that's extremely popular and something I've had a lot of success as far as building lists and that type of thing are hosting themed challenges. I'm going to stress the short-term part of that. However, back when I first started online 10 years ago, I used to do an annual 90-day content marketing challenge. And like for the first 5 days, it was awesome. By day 40, day 50, day 60, I was kind of sick of it myself. And you get a lot of drop-offs. So it's like, I definitely recommend if you're doing something like that, 5 days, 7 days, maybe 21 days, the length of time it takes to make a new habit. I have seen, there's a 30-day, actually Tracy and Suzanne at Piggy Makes Bank has a 30-day slow cooker challenge. That would be really easy to swap up with your own recipes to make that totally unique. So there's all sorts of things you can do that would fit your audience, and that would be a way to serve them, as well as to, you could create a low-priced product instead of waiting for, the content to trickle out over 5, 7, or 10 days, what have you. They can get the full report or the full collection right now. A lot of people, don't want to wait. So
That's
and the final tip I have is to use content from multiple providers on the same theme to create your entire sales funnel. So I've touched briefly on that, where you have everything from your free opt-ins to your low ticket price to your mid and higher point. And, as you look around what's available in the space, you'll see like, ketogenic, I can name probably 4 or 5 different providers that have really good quality ketogenic information. And by getting information from different sources, it's really easy to kind of tear them apart and put them back together into something that is completely unique and original to you and your site without you having to do a lot of the heavy lifting and research yourself, because you've got everything you need. It's just, you know, kind of reshaping it into something new and unique. So that was my examples. You know, you could do that on just about any theme and find, you know, recipes or food content that fit around those to make your life a lot easier and make it a lot easier to plan out those funnels once you get the clarity around, you know, how you can best serve your audience with it. And that's the end.
Thank you so much, Trish.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
So, does anyone have any questions or feedback for Trish before we let her go? I'm so thankful that you came to talk to everybody. I know, like, a lot of people were really, really excited about getting the chance to hear what you had to say about this.
I hope it was helpful. If anyone has any questions, please let me know. I'm very responsive. I read and respond to my own emails, and as far as you know, in the group, I'll be traveling this week, so but I will be posting a lot of tips and updates, things I pick up. I'm personally really looking forward to a lot of the presentations down there, because there's a lot of things that, you know, things change all the time online. So I'm really looking forward to diving into a lot of the other presenters' content as well.
Mary Louise, hi Mary Louise. She said that we rock. She said this is great stuff. Elisa said that it was. Oh, she's going to IFBC. She's going to try to meet you.
That's awesome. Did you just register or
let's while she's responding to that, Heather Gale said this was really helpful. It looks like Heather Gale's going too, so it looks like you may have a little
Heather's actually going to be my roommate there, so
is she?
Yeah.
You're so lucky. She's a
doll.
I haven't had a chance to actually meet her, but I know that she's over on she's one of our Whole Food PLR folks.
Awesome. She's great.
Marty says that you gave them a lot of things to think about that they hadn't thought about. So thank you. Oh, and Marty loves all of your PLR. Hold on just 1 second, sweetie. Okay, so Douglas says that he's not blogging, but he does use PLR to supplement a totally different business that uses the food metaphor. And he wants to know if he could get a PLR package that is made up of similar items. So, Douglas, do you have, Trish, if you can, if you wouldn't mind, I'll go ahead and say something, and then please feel free to.
I'm not sure I follow exactly what he's looking for, so please go ahead.
Yes, I think if I'm understanding correctly, you have a blog, but it's about food, but it's not specifically with recipes. Is that right, Douglas? Or maybe it's about health and food and that type of thing. Yeah, we can definitely talk offline. Yeah, definitely. Don't worry. Feel free to shoot me an email at rachel@wholefoodplr.com, and I'll give you my thoughts. And if I need to tap Trish, I will. I'm going to try not to, because she's got a busy week. But yeah, we'll definitely get it straightened out, Douglas. So thank you so much, Trish. I really appreciate it. This was amazing. This was wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and reclaim the host, so you will. Everyone, your screen may change. All right, guys. So next week, next Tuesday, we are not meeting. I have a teen who is getting ready to go back to school. Yay! 2 weeks from today, which is the beginning of September, we will be doing our PLR working hour. Join us for that. And please keep an eye on your Use PLR emails, because we will be sharing a link to this replay as well as resources that we talked about. So Have a great week, guys. And if you have any questions or if you think of anything after we're done, please feel free to send me an email, rachel@useplr.com. And thank you to the wonderful Trish. Douglas, please send me an email. We'll get you straightened out. And everybody have a great day. Thank you so much, Trish.
I appreciate your time. Thank you. Thanks
We appreciate your time.
Thank you.